Time to talk some Thunder basketball with a man who knows all about it, Anthony Slater, who's fresh off his Subway lunch, right?
Yeah.
I think I saw you walking across the street. We're downtown here at the Oklahoman's Video Studios, which is nice to be down here, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. This is some great offices, the podcast studio. Anytime we're podcasting, you should check us out, especially during the season. But yeah, these studios are great.
I like how Anthony's plugging the Thunder Buddies. He makes up one half of the Thunder Buddies, him and Darnell Mayberry. And I guess the news headline for the Thunder here is Enes Kanter. The deal got done as expected. Give us the highlights there.
4 years, $70 million. It's not what they wanted to pay. I think they were offering somewhere around $16 million per year, which some would say is a high end of what Kanter probably should have got. But they kind of, in restricted free agency, he had the ultimatum to go out and if he could get a better offer, take it. And then the Thunder had the choice to match. He went to Portland. They gave him a huge 4 year, $70 million, a trade kicker, a player option in that fourth year, which is something the Thunder don't typically like. But we kind of knew the whole time, talking to Sam Presti and to some other people that the Thunder were always planning to match. And they bit the bullet a little bit. He will be their third highest paid player next season behind Durant and Westbrook. But that's just the climate of this new NBA with the TV money coming in and everything. You shouldn't be too surprised that he's getting this big a deal.
Anthony, is that the big deal? The fact that the TV contracts are coming in, the NBA salary cap's going up, is that why he got that much money?
Yeah, I mean, you look at all the contracts this offseason with Greg Monroe, DeMarre Carroll got major money in Toronto. I mean, Enes Kanter is a 23-year-old. He has his defensive issues that everyone, kind of knows about, has documented through YouTube and everything else. But he's also a guy, he's at 19-11 for the Thunder last season. He has all 11 of the 2010 games from a Thunder center in its history, and he's only played 2 months. He does something at the center position, which is score with his back to the basket, some pick and pop, some pick and roll stuff that a Thunder center has never done. And the Thunder couldn't go out and use this money elsewhere. They were hamstrung. They could only keep their own guy, Enes Kanter. They couldn't use the money they spent on him elsewhere. So it really was a no-brainer for them.
When you look at the numbers, 19 and 11, where else are you going to get those numbers?
Yeah, you're not, and you're not even necessarily, the thing is, you're not really going to even get that from him next year. I don't think if they're fully
Durant
healthy.
Comes back, you're not going to get 19 out of Kanter.
But you're going to get a guy who's dangerous. He might even come off the bench, which is great. You're giving that much money to a guy coming off the bench. But if you get 25 minutes a night, I think he works great with Westbrook in the pick and roll, pick and pop. When teams go small, he can be exploited on one end. But one thing you got to remember, he can exploit small defenders on the other end, just with what he can do, back to the basket type stuff. He is just a very good piece of a team that's fully constructed, already has all 15 of its players under contract, and it's pretty much title or bust next season. They want to show Durant they can win it before he hits free agency. So, you had to bring Enes Kanter back.
The nature of the NBA game these days, small ball. We saw that with Golden State, but the Thunder, while they can go small, they're kind of constructed to play both games. They can go small, they've got an inside presence.
They're constructed to do it all, really. I mean, if you play Warriors, there's a chance Enes Kanter may not get that many minutes. As we saw with David Lee, he's actually a very similar player to David Lee, who I saw his playing time shrink a lot during the playoffs. You can go Durant at the 4, Ibaka at the 5, but there are teams against the Grizzlies, even against teams second units who have centers who can't guard Enes Kanter that well. You can feature Enes Kanter, or you can not play him that much. The Thunder have a ton of options. This is just another guy with a skill set they didn't have that they can throw out there against certain teams.
Talking with Anthony Slater from the Oklahoman, he covers the Thunder for us alongside Darnell Mayberry and then Barry Trammell on the cast of thousands who cover the Thunder for us. Let's look at this contract a little bit. Where does the Thunder now sit financially? Darnell had a story or a column blog that he posted yesterday that says this is a little bit out of norm for the Thunder and their culture to throw this much money there. It
is, but the climate that we've talked about, I mean, the TV money that's coming in and everything, moving forward, they're going way into the tax this season. They're going they're shopping Perry Jones and Steve Novak to cut it a little bit, but as it currently stands, they'd pay about $26 million or so of a tax bill, which is rare for them. But this is kind of what they've built for, what they've strategized for, which is Durant's prime years when you're going to have to re-sign him, or at least going to try next season on this contract. You want to have all your guys together kind of in a similar core age. So, they're fine. I think they'd sit under the cap next season just because it's going to balloon again to $96 million, something like that. So they're not going to be able to. They don't have the flexibility anymore to go out and get other people, but they're fine with that if they can just keep their own people for the next few years. You know, they're pretty much set.
Wasn't there something in there, and I may be way off base on this, but 2 of the 3 years, if you're over that, that triggers another penalty, but they're not going to be there.
Yeah, it's called the repeater tax. They were actually in the tax last season for the first time. They will be this season. The repeater tax is another, big time penalty, but that's either 3 years in a row or 3 out of 4 seasons. Okay. So if they stay out of it the next 2 seasons, then they're completely out of the repeater tax.
One last question for you to educate us a little bit. The free agency craziness that we saw, I think a lot of people suspected that some of these big name guys were going to take 1 year and then hop back into it next year, but that's not what we saw. We saw people signing 3-4 year deals and max deals.
It's cool to say and to talk about, but when you put $96 million in front of somebody and say you could take this $96 million, or you could take a 1 year deal and you may get more next offseason, but you also might tear your Achilles or you might do something else that now you're not getting any of that money. So it's financial security for a lot of these guys. The only guys that can risk it is a guy like LeBron James, who's just, he's an absolute robot, and, he's going to get max money every single season. So he has been doing the 1-and-1. One guy to actually watch on what you're talking about, which is take 1 year and then get back into the money pool the next year and get even more, is Kevin Durant. There's a possibility next offseason if he takes the 1 year deal, then he'll hit the 10 years in the league thing where you get an extra 5% of your salary, and then he goes back into the pool in 2017 with Westbrook and Ibaka all together, and they can get major money. There's a lot of moving parts and everything. It's a confusing time in the NBA, but just know that a lot of money is being thrown around.
Dropping knowledge right there.
I'm trying. I mean, it's hard. There's just numbers floating through my head right now.
He's Anthony Slater. Follow him every day in the Oklahoman and online at newsok.com. Anthony, good job. Thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
No problem.